If you hate feeling like you are on a never-ending content creation hamster wheel, you're going to want to listen to this episode. Welcome to the Brand Gravity Show, where we explore the intersection between branding and psychology. And in today's conversation, I have the genius, Hailey Dale, on the show, and I cannot wait to share her with you. We talk about a way where you can actually have a finish line when it comes to creating content. So you can quit content creation without sacrificing results, and how the smartest entrepreneurs are leveraging this system that Hailey devised. It is brilliant. I can't believe I didn't think of this, and I can't wait to hear your thoughts. Content creation is one of the most important ways that we show up in our brand. So paying attention to your content strategy is key. It acts as a bridge between you, your brand, what you offer, and those ideal clients that you want to serve. And this conversation completely shifted the way that I think about it. Hailey Dale is a best-selling author and founder of Your Content Empire, where she works with business owners who struggle to create content consistently, let alone turn it into evergreen sales funnels that actually work. Through her courses, done-for-you services, and tell-all blog, she's helped thousands of business owners grow their audiences and sales using content, while making the entire process easier through simple workflows and systems. Let's get to it. For those who haven't had the pleasure yet, who is Hailey Dale?
Oh my gosh, big question. I am the founder of Your Content Empire. I started in 2014, so it's been a hot minute now. I'm like that 7-year itch now kind of thing, as they say. And Your Content Empire is like one part done for you content and sales funnel agency, and one part like teach you everything I know education company around content and sales funnels. I started my business a little bit backwards I didn't start with services. I started really with courses because I was working full time and I had zero time to work with people one-on-one. And the agency kind of got born from when I left my full-time government job, and I'm like, oh, okay, everyone is asking for us to just do this stuff rather than teach them. And hence now I am like raising two different business babies, it feels like.
Yes, I can relate to that. It wasn't until the beginning of, maybe it's been about like a full calendar year now, but I finally let go of agency work to focus on the content and just consulting. And it truly is two different businesses. It feels like you have two different funnels, two different messaging. It gets complicated. So I commend you for doing it so well, and for doing it, you make it look easy. So
thank you. It doesn't always feel that way. So that's nice to hear.
Oh my goodness. I was just on your website prepping for this call, and I was just blown away, not only by the depth of content, which is amazing. Of course, you're great at content because this is what you do and this is what you teach. You're doing an excellent job of walking your own talk as a brand, but everything is just impeccable. Like from the graphics to the voice, everything you do is just so amazing. So I'm so excited to have this conversation and to dive in deeper. So thanks for being here, Hailey.
Oh, I'm excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yes. So you proposed an idea for a topic that, as soon as I heard it, I was like, oh, that makes so much sense. Why didn't I think of that before? And I'm going to let you introduce it because I don't want to mess up the name. Can you introduce us to this idea of a capsule content? I keep wanting to say wardrobe, but go with it. Tell us what it is.
I love that you say that, because I was like, when I was coming up with it, I think it was like definitely inspired by those capsule wardrobes. I'm like, why can't the same thing be true for our content? Like, why don't we shop our content first instead of always like creating something new? And so it's like capsule content collection, which fits under this umbrella of the minimalist content strategy, which I feel like is just a real focus on like less but higher impact blog posts, based around like this capsule content fits within it. So like 12 essential blog posts, it could definitely be more for those people who want to create more content, but it becomes based on I want to create this rather than an I need to create this. And those like 12 core pieces of content just really fill those gaps of leading people towards your offer. And it's about being, like I said, more intentional, more strategic about your content, and reverse engineering the topics from an offer rather than what I see a lot of people doing, which is like, I'm on this content hamster wheel. Everyone tells me I need to create content. And so we're kind of just creating to kind of fill a hole in our calendar rather than being really strategic. And, at the end of the day, most of us are business owners using content to grow our business rather than like content creators creating content for like followers and audiences.
100%. The thing that I love about focusing in on those 12 highest value posts is that it gives you a finish line. It's not this ongoing nebulous thing. And of course, there's going to be work. I feel like that would go into it, whether you're repurposing or just re-promoting a specific post. But the idea that you could focus on creating 12 posts and know that you have a lot of your bases covered is so powerful. Is that the pain point that you think this is solving, or is there other things involved as well?
I think it's that. I think it is. I think it comes down to that finish line, right? Like when content can feel like this thing that you're never truly ever finished with. And so, yeah, it gives you kind of that goal point, and you might go back and you might improve those things. Like you said, repurpose them. I think that's the biggest thing though. And I think it's also around, it comes back to just having this collection around whatever offer you have. And one of the things I will say, I work with a lot of businesses and designing this for them. And some of them come in with like multiple offers and multiple different personas. And so they might have 2 or 3 capsule content collections. But if you're the I want to keep things simple crowd, you can totally get by with just 12 of them and have that end line finished and have all that beautiful time back in your calendar to focus on other things.
Oh, so powerful. It's so good. I want to continue to flesh this out because I want people to really get how magical this could be. Because even what am I don't know if I'm 9 years in business now. So I've been creating content as a personal brand for 9 years. And when I looked at the list of the pieces of content that should be created, I don't know if I have all 12 of them. Like, I think that we get caught up in like being educational or catering to keywords or just checking other boxes that sometimes even at my stage in business, we forget to be strategic and to sell. And I feel like this strategy brings us back to that act of service, that act of selling. How are my offers meeting people where they're at? How are my offers actually benefiting people? Can you give us the breakdown of the 12 posts so people can get a more concrete feel in their mind for what this is?
Yeah. So 12 posts, they're broken down into 3 mini collections of 4 posts each. And so it kind of follows the customer awareness scale as well, from like problem aware, solution aware, product aware, and most aware / ready to buy. We don't deal with those unaware people. They're fine, but they'll come later when they're ready to come to us. So we ignore that first step in the customer awareness scale. So 12 posts broken down into 3 collections. The first post in pretty much every collection is problem, right? Most people are focused on a problem that they want to solve, and they want to know when they're reading or consuming your content, like what's in it for me and what it's going to do for me to like solve this annoying thing that I'm dealing with my content, with my branding, with my bread making, I don't know, whatever topic it is that you are creating content around or selling around. And then the second post, solution aware, we move into the goal post. So, a goal post for each of the 3, and I can give some examples here. And also what's really interesting is like you said, I'm the same way. Like I have a ton of content. And so like, as I'm realizing like, oh, maybe I don't have something quite here, but you usually have content you can tweak and become more goal focused with it or problem focused with it. And then the third one is around objections. So when we're talking about product aware and dealing with like a piece of content that deals with a specific objection that people have. And then the final post, I call it like the singles in the collection, the final one there, it kind of like differs and you could, double down on one particular type, but I usually fill that with like like a signature process post. So the final one, a post showcasing results or a case study or something like that, showing the result or the product or the, process in action. And then a context post, like where does this little thing that you are helping someone solve with your paid offer or service fit into like a larger context? So if you're doing like, bookkeeping, where does that fit within like finances and business finances or personal finances or whatever that happens to be? So it usually starts with problem, goal, objection, and then one of the single posts, which kind of rotates through, and you have some options for that last one.
It's freaking brilliant. For people that are in my orbit and familiar with some of the exercises that I do a 3D messaging list that it just has people brainstorm like bullet point lists of what is your prospect or ideal client's desires, devils, and doubts. And these are the exact same things. So your desires would be all of those goalposts. The devils would be the pain points. And then those doubts are those objections. I love that like two separate methodologies can kind of map onto each other because they're all rooted in how the human brain actually makes decisions and what we're attracted to. So brilliant. This might be a hard question to answer, but how did you come up with this? Like it's so elegant. It's brilliant. Do you remember like the spark of an idea that came to you or how this developed?
Yeah, I think where it came from was a very messy first iteration of it, as like a lot of us like eventually become more elegant with our messaging and our terminology around things. But I was using and teaching this method called the forever funnel strategy. And I started teaching it like pretty much right away, like year kind of like 2 in business, and teaching people how to take their content and turn it into like 52 weeks or whatever it was of like automated emails and an automated like content calendar. So again, that end point, right? When you have 52, you have a whole year covered and you can kind of walk away. Like a lot of people have worked with me on that, like as like their exit plan for their business, like when they want to put it on autopilot and I want to focus on another business, or I want to like take some time and have a bit of a sabbatical or a bit of a life again, that sort of thing. And so it was, 4 to 5 weeks of like value posts and then a week of selling. So getting the offer in front of people on a far more regular basis. But that was like pretty complicated. That was a lot for people to swallow in terms of like 52 posts. I got to come up with 52 posts. And so this was kind of like that second iteration of it. And again, I think I was like scrolling Pinterest, thinking about organizing my closet, like a capsule content collection, and around that, like shop your content. And yeah, I probably journaled somewhere in the midst of all that. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. And thank you so much for sharing that backstory too, because I think I must have learned about my nurture sequence. I think you were probably the inspiration. So I have a really long nurture sequence, just evergreen, going all of the time. And I bet because we've been in each other's orbits for a while, not as much recently, which is a shame. I'm excited that we're talking again. But yeah, I think I have, 50 or 60 emails in my welcome sequence. And I never really knew where that idea came from or how I started building that. And I'm almost sure now that you said that was inspired by you, because that's such a brilliant peace of mind to know that even when your energy dips, or if there's a health crisis, or if there's whatever, like your goals shift or you need time to do other things, that content isn't always going to be such a heavy lift, that you have things that are happening on its own because you created it once and it continues to perform and serve people. So
I love about it too. And like same thing with like forever funnel strategy or long nurture or this is, I think like even more so, I think it helps us serve our clients and our customers and our audience at such a higher level, because it brings them through an intentional journey rather than them just dropping in and out wherever we happen to be on our live content calendar.
Yes. Yes. And just that like active indoctrinating somebody into a brand, like helping somebody get to know a brand on that kind of like relational human level. You also need to do that in kind of a specific sequence. You don't want to throw people directly into the sales part of the sequence, for example, because they're not ready for that. So I can see a lot of similarities in the way that we think about that, and multiple advantages to thinking about your content in this way. We're going to get right back to the interview. For the next few seconds, I'm going to share with you my brand clarity collective and how it can help you grow your income and impact. If you're an entrepreneur who feels stuck or uncertain about what makes your brand stand out, then this is for you. The Brand Clarity Collective is a mastermind multiplied by mentorship. It's part online curriculum, part digital mastermind, and it's designed to help you get crystal clear brand clarity so you attract more perfect clients and grow your business. We have a thriving community of entrepreneurs who are all smart and driven. As a member of the collective, you get an all-access pass to all of my best branding courses, as well as access to our private community where you can connect with like-minded entrepreneurs and get feedback and support directly from me on our coaching calls. The Brand Clarity Collective is priced at just $297 per month, and after 6 months, you keep lifetime access to all of the courses. To learn more and to see if it's right for you, head over to my homepage at kputnam.com. There's a big section where you can click to learn more. I'll also include the link in the show notes wherever you are listening or watching. All right, let's get back. What challenges or problems do people run into when they start, if they think like, okay, this is a great idea I want to implement, let me start writing? Where do they get stuck?
Oh, I think it depends on the personality type. I call them like my planners and my people who don't want to plan, which are more action takers, which I actually wish I was a little more of an action taker. I'm a procrastinator. I like to plan things to death. So if you love to plan, you can like stay stuck there in the planning and getting it perfect and like overthinking the entire thing. And if you are more of like that action taker without, then you'll end up like 5 years in, not having any strategy around your content and like reverse engineering it from your offer. So it kind of depends on where you fall on that spectrum. So like our planner people, right? They are, like I said, overthinking it, planning it, and never actually taking that step of creating that content. And like maybe there's a bit of perfectionism there as well. So nothing is ever like good enough to fit within. Oh, it's so interesting. This reminds me of somebody in my program. I call it like the flagship freebie method. And the one thing that was stopping her from like doing this and creating that flagship freebie was the terminology flagship freebie. It felt too big. It felt too important. And so it didn't feel like something that she could jump in and create without like finding the perfect thing. And same thing with capsule content, right? If you're overthinking and a little bit of perfectionism, just because these are 12 posts, you can revisit them again and again and again and improve them as you want to. And then those like action Jackson people who maybe don't want to plan it, they are just kind of like filling that hole without a whole lot of intention. Yeah.
And just to make this clear, we kind of touched on this or danced around it. Once somebody has these 12 posts done, what do you recommend they do with them?
Yeah, I recommend they share them out. So there's like a few different kind of rollout schedules that I kind of recommend. So like if you are somebody with a pretty simple business, right, and you have one offer and you have one capsule content collection or one persona, or you want to start there, right? You could start with your breadwinning offer and then move on to something else. You could roll them out like once a month, right? And have your whole year covered then, and then cycle back to the beginning. If you are, and you can also like fill in other pieces of content, especially like maybe you are a podcaster or something and you're doing interviews. These can be your solo posts, or these can be your IP and your unique kind of like process covered posts. And then you can fill it in with other interviews and stuff where you get to shine the light on somebody else. Tons of different options, really depends on your business model, but you could definitely have a like, I'm done creating content. I'm just going to cycle through these. And because they're like epic posts, I can break them up and promote it times throughout the same month by pulling out different pieces of it. And then obviously if you have more, right, like let's say you have 2, you can just like scale back the rollout schedule where you're doing like 1 every 2 weeks kind of thing to get through that whole, like those 2 collections. Or you could do, 1 every, because the 12 posts covers about a quarter if you're going on a weekly schedule. So you can kind of fine tune and play with the cadence a lot.
Oh, so freaking brilliant. I imagine that they'd be easy to repurpose into like Instagram carousel posts and reels and all of the different places where you intend to show up or where you're focusing on showing up. once you do that long form content, I find that it becomes much easier to repurpose. But you really have to have that longer piece of content first. Why not make it incredibly intentional and backwards engineered from your offer, so you make sure that it's actually going to move the needle for your business and your sales first, which is incredible. You are a genius, absolute genius. I love that so much.
Broken clock is right. I said,
yeah. I also love how I just want to highlight this because this is something that you do exceptionally well in your brand. You are so good at naming like your methodology, your frameworks, your ideas. Have you always been that way, or is that something that you've built over time?
It's hard to know when the muse strikes you. I think I keep an inspiration bank. That is probably my number one tool in business, is like anytime I come across a phrase, I love reading magazines and like saving headlines and stuff like that. So it's very like pulled from all the random places, and just make sure that I have a system for storing those ideas to come back to later.
That's my missing piece. Brilliant. I mean, I have thousands of notes on my phone, but no single depository that I can go back to and find the inspiration. That's absolutely brilliant. Magazines are such a great source of inspiration, especially for copy as well, because they have to catch people's attention, particularly what's on the cover. Like they have to entice people to buy them in that split second, because it's totally a luxury purchase. It's something that people don't need to do. So they have to really earn that attention. So I think that's a really great pro tip to look for magazines for inspiration, because it can be easily shifted towards whatever your niche or whatever your industry, whatever your business is. It doesn't have to be about, I don't know, the 5 ways to get a flat stomach. It can be something else. Oh, amazing. What are you really excited about in your business right now?
Oh gosh. Well, we are coming up to fall, which is my favorite season, like every basic. I make being basic a sport. So I'm very excited about fall, and it's kind of our launch season. So I kind of go pretty hard for the next like 3 months, and then I hibernate from January to August. So I'm excited to just hit my stride there. And yeah, we have a ton going on, and it's really exciting and really fun.
Tell me what you're launching. I want to hear.
Yeah, so we're doing our big annual live round of Your Content, Your Empire. So that's like, I run it live once a year. I kind of sell it evergreen too, but it's really those live rounds that have my heart, where I get to show up week in and week out, and you have all that momentum of everyone around you working on their content and the same things. There's just such a magic in everyone kind of like supporting each other and working on things. And then we do our annual content planner. So that's coming up the next month. So we're putting on our final finishing touches of our 2023 edition. And we're moving it into a Google Doc versus just a PDF. I don't know. I've fallen out of love a little bit with pre-designed, pretty PDFs, because as pretty as they are, and I love to print things out, I also love the ease of copying and pasting into a Google Doc too.
Yeah. Have you ever gotten yours printed?
No. And that's been like we were going to do it right before the pandemic hit. And I'm like, this is not the year to be doing this right now. I am terrified to take this leap at this time. So maybe I'll get brave again next year.
Yes. Ditto. I've had these visibility cards, like just prompts for content ideas for growing your brand, on my hard drive for years. And I haven't like pulled the trigger yet to actually find a manufacturer and do that whole song and dance, because it sounds terrifying. So let me know
I got a really good resource for you, which I'll share with you. It's called Vervante. I did a deck of cards with them, and it's all print on demand. Check into them. So easy and lovely to work with.
What? Shut the front door. What was the name again?
Vervante.
Totally writing it down right now. Oh, amazing. Yeah. When I looked last time, and granted, this was a year or two at least ago, I couldn't find any print on demand for card decks. So you may have just solved my problem. Thank you so much.
Fun how these things come together.
Yes. Amazing. I like to ask, actually, before I ask you these 2 questions, you have a freebie associated with the Capsule content collection. Am I saying that in the right order?
Yep, you're good.
Content capsule collection. Yeah. Okay. Tell us about that. What is the freebie? What will people learn if they go and download it?
Yeah. So we have the Capsule Content Collection Planner. And so if you are like hearing this and you're like, that sounds like a really good idea. Maybe if I have some of those pieces already, or I need to come up with those ideas of what those things are, because you can plan it and then start executing it slowly over time. You don't need to have this capsule content collection 100% finished before you can start rolling it out. So you can take your time with it. However, you do need to have the plan in place so you know where you're going, you know where that destination is going to be. And the Capsule Content Planner is going to walk you through planning out and outlining those 12 different posts. So you have, that roadmap and the action plan to follow moving forward.
Amazing. We will put that in the show notes and also below the video on YouTube if you're watching over there instead of listening on your favorite podcast app. That said, I always like to ask people, so I'm very thankful that the people that I attract to my orbit, they just love to learn. They love to spend time researching, soaking in information, learning new things. Can you think of a resource or a course or even just a way that you go about learning? I think you already gave us a really good example with your idea depository, but what's your favorite way to learn new things when it comes to business?
Oh gosh, so many different ways. I mean, I'm a big reader, so that's going to be my thing. Definitely reading blog posts and like make them scannable for me, people, because I want to get all the good stuff and know where I want to dive in. So I think that, but I think like more than anything lately, the intention for me has been to create before I consume. And so I'm making a point to like write something every day before I intake any information, because I, like you, love to learn and I'm an absolute sponge for things and making connections between random things that I saw 2 years ago, that kind of thing. But like create before I consume is like the trap I needed to get out of coming out of pandemic and just, in that consumption mode, way too much.
Same girl, same. Sorry, I'm going to ask a follow-up question. What does that writing process look like for you? Are you actually sitting down at your computer? Are you doing it freehand? What does that creation look like?
Usually it's in the nexus of my sectional, which is my absolute favorite place to be, the corner, and it's with my laptop. And usually I decide on what the prompt for the next day is going to be. Sometimes it's just like some random thing that I want. Sometimes I go and visit that inspiration bank and pull something. Sometimes if I'm launching and I need a sales email tomorrow, it'll be writing that. But like just writing that piece, doing that at the very start of my workday after my morning routine just makes me feel like even if the whole day goes off the rails, I have done one thing. I have accomplished one thing. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Final question. If you could plant a seed, if you could, like, everybody who's watching or listening to this, if they could know one thing, what do you think everybody should know?
That you don't need to say something new in order to create content. And your own way of doing something is unique and valuable enough and helpful enough to your people. All your content needs to be is helpful. And if you come with it with that intention, you've done your job. So don't let the fact that you think it's not unique enough or smart enough or savvy enough stop you from putting it out there, because someone needs it.
Heck yes. Ooh, that's so good. And where can people find you?
Yeah, you can find me over at yourcontentempire.com, Your Content Empire on all the places except Twitter, but I don't Twitter, so that's fine. Your Content Empire.
Amazing. Hailey, your YouTube videos are fire right now. Are you repurposing those to podcasts?
I just started. Yeah. So pulling out the audio and doing that. Yeah.
Oh, they're so dang good. Like the production quality is chef's kiss. It's amazing. So kudos to that. Check it out if you haven't already. Thank you so much for being here and for sharing your genius. This was absolutely incredible.
Oh, thank you for having me. This has been so fun. I actually forgot I was on a podcast a lot of the time.
Yes. Mission accomplished. Mind blown. I did not oversell this conversation in the intro. I sincerely do believe that Hailey is one of the smartest entrepreneurs and one of the most generous with sharing her insight and her tools and her frameworks. If you haven't been over to her blog yet, head over there, subscribe to her email list. She over delivers on value everywhere she shows up. All of the links that we mentioned are in the show notes. You can head over to kateputnam.com/podcast to grab them there. Or if you are watching on YouTube, hello. Instead of listening on your favorite podcast app, we also have the links in the description. Thank you for being here. I think we can all take a collective breath of air that we do not have to be creating content forever and ever and ever. And there can be a light at the end of the tunnel when you implement the system that Hailey taught us today. Thank you for listening. Thanks for reviewing. If you haven't yet, it really does help the show. So thank you so much if you can take a moment of your time to do that. And I will see you in our next episode.